I wonder how do I sound on the microphone with this on. But as you can tell, Sub Zero right here representing. This is pretty cool too. Like I'm shocked that this fits so well. I was always so cautious with this. I got it last year. I don't know if I remember that video I did when I got it, but yeah, still works well. And I was going to do it for Comic Con. Like I was going to do a whole suit thing for Comic Con this year. I decided not to, but I wanted to keep this mask, and I like it. Anyway, happy Halloween to y'all. Hopefully y'all are safe out there. Be safe. Have a good time. Let me know in the comments who you dressed up as, if you did anything. Let me know who you dressed up as in the comments below. This is as far as I go. I'm not really the most, getting the whole suit together. Maybe one day, but I could do a mask and I'm chilling. I'll do this as far as I would go. But let me know what y'all did in the comments below. I know there's some creative ones out there. So yeah, definitely happy holidays and so on and so forth. I don't know, for me, tonight I'll probably watch Scream 6 and Evil Dead Rise. Ooh, no, I can't even do that yet because I was wondering, is Terrorizer 3 out digitally yet? But no, it's not. No, it's not. I was about to say, if I watch the first, second, and third, that'd be cool. But nope, can't do it. So maybe I'll watch Scream 6, Evil Dead Rise, and we'll go from there. But what y'all doing tonight, let me know as well. This video, sorry, the mask was scratching my nose. All right, there we go. This video here, speaking of the Terrorizer, is Terrifier movies ranked. Now, I did take the time after watching the third one, which was my first Terrorizer movie that I ever watched. I took the time to go back and look at the... Sorry, I hit the microphone. I went to look at the older ones, and I must say, I was sitting there debating when I saw the title of this video. Will I put the third one still as the best? Because the third one was really good. But the second one, I don't know. To me, it's between the second and third one. I don't know which one will be number one. The first one was good, but I believe the second and third one was a nice upgrade. Story, everything. So Art the Clown, all that stuff. So for me, it's between 2, and 3. I can't really give y'all my top 3. I want to hear what he has to say, and maybe I'll give my opinion. But I know it's between 2 and 3, and then it's 1. Let me know in the comments below what you choose. But the one who made the video is Cody Leach. I'll put the original video description below. Let's look at this. Let's look it out. Let's check it out. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to do it with this here. I can breathe too. Like they got holes in here so you can breathe. It's just the only problem I have. I need to put something in the nose part because it's kind of like pinching my nose up top just a little bit, but not enough where I need to take it off. We'll see how long I'll last with it. I am so curious how I sound with this mask on.
What is up, everybody? Well, with the release of Terrifier 3 that is absolutely kicking ass this weekend.
Yeah, that's one thing I realized, that they just announced that it made $50 million. What was that, last week? No, a few days ago. They announced they made $50 million. And isn't it true that it was on a $2 million budget? Yo, if that's the case, salute to y'all, bro. To do something with a small budget and to make crazy amount of money, in my opinion, I think it deserves it. They did a really good job, especially someone who's new to the whole Terrifier franchise. I was impressed with Art the Clown. He is definitely going to be in one of the Mount Rushmores of scary movie characters, in my opinion. But to have so much success, tilt my hat to him.
Films within the Art the Clown universe. And I finally want to rank these bitches. So I have already done a spoiler-free review of Terrifier 3. I have done a full spoiler recap discussion that's also on my channel. Now it's time to talk about all 4 of them, put them in order from my least favorite to my favorite, and talk about what I enjoy about all 4 of these films and get your opinions down in the comment section below.
4?
And with that said...
Oh, I forgot about those. I didn't see them. Those, YouTube movies of Terrifier before the first one came out. I was like, wait, I know there's 3 of them.
Let's not clown around.
I gotta check those out.
Right into the rankings. So number 4 coming in at the bottom for me is going to be All Hallows Eve. Now, some of you might not even recognize this film or even be aware that it is in the Art the Clown.
Yeah, universe. I didn't know about it. I forgot about it.
Of Art the Clown got his start and where Damien Leone got his start as a filmmaker. So Damien created a few horror shorts, one of which was called The Ninth Circle. The other one was based on the Art the Clown character, and it was called Terrifier. And so a producer eventually got a hold of these shorts that was on YouTube for a year or so and contacted Damien and wanted to put together an anthology film that I believe was going to release straight to DVD. And so they shot a little bit of extra footage to make Art the Clown the star and the poster child of this film, make him kind of the book-ending story segment. And so you have an anthology film here that was 3 stories, 2 of which aren't necessarily focused on Art the Clown. The third one is. And Art was actually played by a completely different actor that retired from
That's
acting
right.
before they
Okay,
went to
it
make
was.
the
I was
first
told
official-
about this when I did the history of Art the Clown. I forgot all about watching those. I gotta check that out now.
Terrifier film, hence the recasting of David Howard Thornton. So those of you that like Damien's style, that you like the Terrifier vibe, especially the vibe of the first film, a lot more raw and grindhousey, you'll probably dig this movie. I'm just somebody that's not much for horror anthologies. I have a very low hit ratio with a lot of them. Most times when I watch them, there's usually only about 25% or so of the segments that really I get into, and that's kind of the case for this one. The Terrifier segment is the one that I enjoyed the most. Now, what I will tell you is that in All Hallows Eve, for a lot of you that have been shocked and have been biting your nails wondering if they're going to go there in Terrifier 3, well, they already kind of went there in All Hallows Eve. This thing goes for it. There is a lot of things that is just wild, absolutely depraved, and it definitely gave you a taste of things to come for the Terrifier franchise. So if you have never seen it, if you dig horror anthologies, I recommend you check it out. It is interesting to see kind of the beginnings of Damien Leone, the beginnings
Yeah, I
of
gotta
his
check those out.
Special effects work, the beginning of Art the Clown, what he used to look like, what the actor who portrayed him was going for in the initial version of the character. It's an interesting little time capsule. Just not being an anthology guy, it's the one that I enjoy the least. Now, really quick before we move on to our top 3, a quick word from our sponsor.
All right, we can skip that. Oh,
Me! That is right, people. My official merch store has been relaunched.
I respect it. No, I'm gonna let it play. Let it play.
rejuvenated, brought back from the depths of hell. We got all new designs.
I'm all about
We got
promoting
a couple
yourself.
of them that are rejuvenated classics.
Especially
that I'm
as I'm
sure you
reacting to
guys
his
love.
video.
Our top screen
You know, I can
design,
show
a
respect by
variation
letting
of my
him,
channel logo. We got a sexy one for
advertise
all of
himself.
you fellow Nightmare on Elm Street fans.
Get you some merch, bitch.
how did he get that glove? I want one of those.
Yes. You know you want it, boy. And as of right now, we're keeping it simple. We've got t-shirts, we got tank tops, we got hoodies, and we have hats. There's variations on the different
To be
designs.
real, I
for the
want
hats
that Freddy
especially.
Krueger claw.
We have sizes all the way up to 4XL, I believe maybe even 5XL in the hoodies. And I do recommend if you're getting a
Staying on.
hoodie, get one size larger than your typical shirt size. But I usually like my hoodies to be a little oversized, so that's just my preference. And as
Same.
time goes on, we'll add more designs. We'll have things coinciding with big video releases like some 31 on 31 themes probably. We'll have special little promo codes here and there. If you're a Patreon of mine, you already have a 10% discount. That is permanent. That is one of the perks that is exclusive to you beautiful people. And the best part about it, all of this beautiful shit ships worldwide. So anywhere in the planet Earth, if you are a fan of mine and you want to check out some of this sexy ass shit and get some for yourself, it will be delivered right to your door no matter where you are in the world. And obviously, yes, by purchasing this merch, you are supporting this channel in a financial way. So I appreciate all of that. But all of you guys that do actually buy some of this, be sure to tag me in a picture on social media or send it to me in a DM, something, because I'd love to show this stuff off in the future. And with that being said, let's get back to talking Terrifier. Coming in at number 3 is going to be the original Terrifier.
I had a feeling he was
I have
gonna say
an
that.
interesting relationship with this film. Because I still remember when this thing came out, made a big splash in the horror community. Everybody was talking
I'm
about
curious
it. So
what
I
he's gonna
checked it
choo-
out
what he's
out
gonna
of
choose,
pure
2 or
morbid
3.
Curiosity, had no idea
Because
what to
I'm on the
expect.
fence with both
and
of
I
them.
remember just being floored at the gore. It was just like, holy shit, this is a slasher movie that ain't fucking around. And so I really dug it on that first watch. Upon second watch, after the initial shock value of a lot of the special effects kind of wore off of me, I found myself being a little bit underwhelmed with it as far as story and characters.
Yeah.
And so I watched it a third time in 2022. That's when I actually dropped my official review for it, and that's when I was just a couple of weeks away from walking into the premiere of Terrifier 2 at Fantastic Fest that year. And it was a movie that I'm just kind of in the middle on. I've always kind of been in the middle on it. There's things
Yeah, I
that
like
love
Art the
about it. I
Clown,
think
but
that
the
Art
movie
the
itself
Clown
was
and David
okay.
Howard Thornton's performance
The second and third one had
absolutely
more
stand out
to
there,
it.
as it was intended to be. Damien Leone's practical special effects work is on full display, and so I've always felt like this movie is more of a proof of concept more so than an actual film. And I think that that's exactly what it was intended to be.
Yeah, it did
was
what it
something to
needed.
say, hey, this is Art the Clown. This is what Damien Leone can do if you give him the money. Do you guys want to see more in this world?
Yeah.
Do you want this character?
It wasn't
Are
bad.
you digging what we're going for here? And obviously, a large chunk of the horror fan base said, hell yes, give us more. So it's a movie that now, when I watched it for the 4th time last night in preparation for this ranking, it's a film that I actually have started to respect.
That was my favorite part of the
movie. I
movie.
started to enjoy certain aspects of it more because of now being able to see the things that were set up that are eventually paid off in the 2nd and even the 3rd film.
I love that part.
As light as it is on story, there's things that are set up here with the Victoria character, with the woman that gets, her chest skinned off, that I believe is supposed to be the mother of the girl that's eventually the pale-eyed girl. There's certain things in here that is just cool little almost Easter eggs for fans of the further films. So I still feel like it's a movie that I wouldn't revisit near as often as the 2 that are going to inevitably be above it. It's something I would have to be in a Terrifier mood for.
Yeah, 2 and 3 I can watch repeatedly.
Franchise, or just be in a super grindhouse gore fest mood, which certainly that mood strikes every once in a while. It's a film that I respect more than I enjoy. But with my fandom of the 2nd and 3rd film, I find myself respecting it a lot more than I used to. A lot of people prefer this one because it's just the most simple, straightforward. It's just Art the Clown laying waste to a bunch of people.
It does feel darker, and I like that tone of it compared to the 2nd and 3rd one.
Film, the color palette, and of course the kills and the special effects.
Yeah,
it has that kind of down and dirty and grungy feel to it that I think a lot of people
enjoy that of the movie.
Loved this franchise and loved this character for. That the ones that love the original film, that's what they hold sacred to.
I still don't know who I would choose the 2nd or 3rd one.
People, but this is a movie that has
maybe he'll break it down in a way where I'm like, okay, I could choose.
Because it does.
We'll find out
at the end amongst the now 4 films we have.
I'll give an answer at the end of the video.
On to our top 2, and I got to be honest with you, this is tough.
Okay, so it's not just me. Thank you.
I genuinely feel like they're neck and neck for me for very different reasons.
They are.
I think they both have very different strengths.
Yes.
I think they both have very different shortcomings. I think that there is going to be one of those situations where you ask me today and I pick a favorite, you ask me tomorrow, and those favorites will change. I walked out of Terrifier 3 thinking, oh, this was great, but I definitely prefer the second one. And then when I saw it the second time on opening night with a crowd of people in the double feature, I walked out going, fuck, I don't know. That's really
it's hard.
Like, after watching them back to back, I'm like, God damn, there's things that I love these movies for, and I don't know if I can pick a favorite. But with the nature of rankings, I got to plant my flag somewhere. So while it is difficult, and while this answer,
you know what? I'm gonna say it now. Wait for the end of the video. I'm gonna say the 3rd one, because that's my first one I've watched, and it made me, like, I still believe the 2nd and 3rd one's neck and neck, but I wouldn't have watched the 2nd one if it wasn't for the 3rd one. I'm thinking right now, the reason I put it above the 2nd one is because of the impact. The impact I got watching the 3rd one made me want to go back and watch the older ones, the 1st and 2nd one. So because of it, I'm gonna give it to the 3rd one. But story base, everything else, it's neck and neck. There's great moments in the 2nd and the 3rd one, so on and so forth. They're equal with that. But when it comes to impact, I got to give it to the 3rd one, which makes it the top one. So 3rd, 2nd, then 1st one. I got to watch those older ones, though, before the 1st one came out.
Almost certainly change in the future whenever we revisit this franchise for Terrifier 4 and onward. My number 2, as of today, is Terrifier 3. Now, what I love about this movie is that, to me, it was the perfect balance between the tone, the approach, and the strengths of the first 2 films. You had Damien that made a very conscious decision to not propel things even further into the fantastical and the poppy and the crazy that we got into with Terrifier 2, and tried to pull that back a little bit. He didn't pull it back near as much as I thought he was going to, which is another reason why I just really enjoyed this film, because I actually like all the wild directions we got in Terrifier 2, and we'll get into that shortly. But I do feel a genuine effort to bring it back down a bit, to make it a little meaner, to make it a little darker, to have Art the Clown doing his thing throughout more of the film. Like,
my favorite,
every 8 or 9 minutes go by between a kill set piece in this film.
Yeah, that's one thing I enjoyed about Terrifier 3 was Art the Clown's not being taken away from you for that long. They'll show the other characters in the movie, but then like 5-10 minutes later, Art the Clown's there. There's a lot of him, because that's what people want first and foremost. I love that. And my favorite scenes in the Terrifier 3 was Art the Clown going to the bar where Santa Claus is, that whole scene, and the mall. Those were my favorite.
but you still get a lot of the lore expansion. You still get a lot of the furthering of that story. So you have Sienna here that is a broken person, that is a damaged and unhinged person.
Which she does a great job, second
I
and
was a
third
little
one.
worried about because that's bordering on being a trope for final girls, is after the initial traumatizing event, they go through their trauma stage. But I loved what they did here to really dive further into that than most movies do, where she's totally unhinged. She's starting to have this distant relationship with her brother, and her brother's responding to the trauma in a very different way. And for the mean streak side of it, you have Art the Clown and Vicky that just absolutely decimate this girl's life down to its core. And so where usually you get these final girls that get their revenge chapter when they're in their trauma stage, where they get to rise up, they get to save the day, they get to prevent a lot of carnage, they basically put Sienna through 3 times as much
I was gonna say, not
as
so
she
much.
was in Terrifier 2, and see where she comes out the other end after that.
I
and
ain't
then
expect that
with
with,
the third
well, I don't want to spoil it,
showdown,
but I ain't
she's
expect,
a lot more vengeful, a lot more angry. And
I
you
didn't
get to see
expect that
Laura
at the
Rivera
end.
cut her teeth a bit more into the character, which was great to see. And then just Art the Clown, David Howard Thornton. I think this is easily his best run as Art the Clown. And he's one
I
of
agree.
those
Even though the
character
second one he
and actor
did really
mashups
good.
where you saw what he did in Terrifier 2, and I genuinely walked out thinking, okay, like I think you've reached the max of what we can do with that character.
Cranked
We're
it
going to
up.
get more, obviously, but I don't know how much further he's going to be able to take both sides of that character, the sinister and the silly side of it. And I was wrong, because you walk into Terrifier 3 and you get scenes like when he meets Santa Claus and the whole theater is just laughing their ass off at just silent facial expressions and physical acting by
Well, he
David.
does that so well.
And he propels this character into an even darker and meaner place and an even lighter and funnier place.
Knocking
within
the girls
same
out the way
movie,
to get
within
to
the same
Santa Claus.
performance. So absolutely loved what he did with Art the Clown here. The Christmas aesthetic, I absolutely loved how they went for a vintage Christmas. They're kind of going for that, not necessarily Black Christmas, more like a Silent Night, Deadly Night vibe, like late 80s, early 90s look to
I see what
it,
you're saying.
which kind of has its own griminess and has its own version of nostalgia in there. And it's a movie that, story-wise, I feel like answers just enough questions that were left lingering from 2 while still leaving a few question marks for us to whet our appetites for the further films. And the answers that we did get, I really enjoyed. Explanation of what's going on with Vicky, explanation of what exactly is the end goal here, what is Art's deal, what is he trying to do, or what is something trying to do with Art, how does Sienna fit into all of that. The answers that we give, I really dig where things are going. They go in a very mythological, borderline biblical direction that I wasn't expecting, and I just think it brings a really interesting dynamic to these movies that certainly didn't start out feeling like it was going to go that way and have now just evolved into this wild, crazy extravaganza that I'm really a fan of. And of course, the kills in this movie, I mean, they are just way crazier and gnarlier than they have been in the past.
That shower
as far as
scene.
every single person that falls victim to Art
That
or
shower
Vicky
scene, bro,
are
oh my
literally their
goodness.
own set piece. Like, there's very few quick kills in this movie. You get a couple
Oh
of
no,
them,
you're gonna
but
see it.
for the most part, everybody that has a kill, it is a kill sequence. It is multiple things. It is a ton of practical effects. And I actually think I misspoke in my review. I think I credited Damien solely for the special effects in this film because he's always done all of it himself. He actually went out and got Tinsley Studio, who previously worked on films like Passion of the Christ and I think American Horror Story, a few TV shows, to come in and do the special effects work. So I definitely misspoke there. Damien, I'm sure, still got his hands into the blood a bit, but he offloaded that work to somebody that has done incredible work in the past, and that allowed him to really free himself up to work more with his actors. So not only do we get incredible special effects, incredible practical gore here, like literally the standard of the slasher genre right now, in my opinion, but you notice a genuine raise in quality of the overall acting and the performances of the entire cast, of the work that went into the cinematography and setting up different shots. Like, it freed up Damien to be more of a director in this third film and offload a lot of the things that he used to do, like the editing and the special effects work and the sound design, to these professional people. And I think you see a genuine incline in quality for the overall filmmaking in this third film. So while they got a higher budget, they stayed out of the studio system, but you get to see what more resources can do to even a low-budget independent franchise like this. Really, the only two issues that I had with this film
the brother.
is that I wish that Jonathan had a little bit bigger of a
Yeah.
role. He gets sidelined very heavily in this film. I don't know if that was an intentional story choice.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I
that
agree.
was a scheduling thing with Elliot Fulham. I don't know if that's going to be something that's going to come back in Terrifier 4 and eventually be paid off. And there was this podcast character that I felt like was turned up a bit too much to be more of a caricature than a character. And it only stood out so much because, as I said, the overall acting quality of everybody in the cast had been raised so much that a character like that just stood out quite a bit more than she would have in like Terrifier 2 or the original Terrifier. So I really enjoyed this movie. I've seen it twice now, and I genuinely have the itch to go watch it again, and that is a rarity for me. I can count maybe 3 films my entire life that I've gone to the theater to.
So I did research it. So it is true. Terrifier 3 was a $2 million budget. That is impressive. That's why I want to give a hand clap. $50 million. You made $50 million off of this, and that was a few days ago, so it's making more still. That's a win. So you can only imagine what they're going to do for Terrifier 4. They're going to take it up another notch. I look forward to it. As long as they keep Art the Clown right and don't, how should I say it? Have the story interesting, but don't overdo it, meaning you putting too much in there to where it's like, okay, this is starting to get ridiculous. Hopefully it doesn't do that, but we need more Art the Clown. Even though, like I said, the third one did very well at giving him most of the screen time. But we want more of that. And the other characters, as long as they don't, overblow the story. I mean, they just adding too much. It's like, okay, what is this? All right, they're pushing it. They're pushing the line here. Hopefully they don't do that, which I believe in them. I believe in them. But congrats to them for the success of this and the second one, so on and so forth.
To see 3 times.
To do so much with a
Terrifier
little
3
budget.
might be another one. So as I said, you ask me in a couple of days, you ask me tomorrow, you ask me by the time I'm sitting down to edit this movie, this one might shift into number 1. I enjoy it that much. But for right now, there's another movie that I feel like I love just a teensy bit more. And coming in at number 1 is going to be Terrifier 2. And this movie just
that was my favorite scene of the movie.
The living hell out of me. I don't want to say I expected not to like it, because that wasn't exactly the story, but being somebody who
taunting her,
in the middle, not necessarily lukewarm, but not won over completely by the first Terrifier film. I walked into Terrifier 2 only knowing the runtime. The expansion of Terrifier, but it's now almost 2.5 hours long.
That scene.
And so that was really the emotion walking in. It's like, what is a 2-hour and 20-minute Terrifier film going to be? This sounds like it might be exhausting.
Dang, I didn't realize it was that long when I watched it. It didn't feel like it. It didn't feel like no 2.5 hours.
And when I walked out of this thing after experiencing this insanity in a crazy festival slasher fan-filled crowd at midnight, it was genuinely one of the best theater experiences I've ever had. And I walked out going,
I wish I saw it in theaters in Terrifier 2 in theaters.
That's what I'm talking about. That is what I want. Fuck yes, let's go. It basically answered pretty much all of the issues that I have with the first film. There's much more of a focus on story here. There's a lot more built-in lore and exploring some fantastical and supernatural elements.
And she plays that role very good.
Regarding the resurrection of Art and the introduced final girl here in Sienna, which is probably the best addition to the second film for sure, because the first film feels like it's really devoid of a protagonist.
Yeah.
You get kind of a surprise twist where you shift focus to a different character about halfway through, but at no point did either of the main characters feel like a final girl. And so with the introduction of Sienna, with the introduction of the acting caliber that Lauren Levera brings to it, it just raised the whole franchise up to this next echelon. And so you get this wild and crazy character of Art the Clown, which David Howard Thornton expands that character and what he can do with that character so much in this.
Does a great job.
You get this counterbalance with Sienna, this badass, hard-edged, and very sympathetic final girl that's trying to protect her family, trying to protect eventually her little brother especially, and yet they have like this iconic Valkyrie look to her. Like, it's just so off the wall, balls out crazy, that I'm glad I never watched a trailer or read anything about this film before I watched it, because that just the initial shock of how crazy they were going, I just absolutely loved. And so this is a film that I have now seen 3 times in theaters. And I love the score to it. I love just the journey we go on. All of the carnage and the kills here is awesome. That bedroom scene to me is still the one to beat for this franchise.
That one in the shower scene. Well, no, thinking about it now, the shower scene was rough. But no, that bedroom scene, and it just kept going. It did not stop. Yeah. And it was all in your face. Yeah, I see what you mean. I agree. I agree.
Shower scene in Terrifier 3. I remember watching that bedroom scene with Sean Chandler sitting next to me. People that say the hacksaw scene. You got some people that now say the bedroom, or excuse me, the shower scene.
Yeah,
in Terrifier 3. I remember watching that bedroom scene with Sean Chandler sitting next to me with a belly full of Mexican street corn popcorn. And I'm watching this kill scene go on for what seemed like 15 minutes on the first viewing. And I'm just like, God damn, he's still going. And in my peripherals, I just see movement. And so I look away from the screen for a second, and I just see Sean going. That reaction, that emotional reaction, that hilarious comedic reaction that I get from seeing Sean's reaction in the theater for the first time will stay with me forever. And I will always remember it and think about it when I rewatch this film. It's just such a blast.
I love when he does that.
Like, this is a movie that came out of nowhere for me. It instantly made me a fan of this franchise. It made me a fan of what these guys are doing. It made me root for them, cheer for them, want everything to continue going forward. And with the projected box office of just the first weekend of Terrifier 3, it's going that way like a motherfucker. So this is one that's just very special to me. Any issues that I have with it are really, most of them are rectified by the third film. I was a little frustrated at how many lingering questions we had by the end of that film. Now that we've got the answer to many of them, that goes away. That was a temporary negative. I still feel like the film's a little long. I don't necessarily ever pick out specific scenes or sequences.
I didn't feel it. I didn't feel how long it was.
The last time I watched it, I kind of looked for it. But it is an epic-sized, like, director's cut, Zack Snyder-style version of Terrifier 2. And so when you get to the third act, I do usually feel a tiny bit of exhaustion of just experiencing this for almost 2.5 hours, but it's not bad. It's not something that kills the experience for me, and it's something that the movie, the name of the game is excess. Like, that's the word that if I had to give one word to describe Terrifier 2 to cover everything, and it's just excess. And so it kind of fits that epic second chapter there. So absolutely love this movie. It's one of my favorite slasher films of all time, genuinely. And I just love seeing where they're continuing to go and continue to expand this story. So as of right now, it's my number one. If they continue on this trajectory, it might be dethroned eventually. But time will tell. Time will tell if Terrifier 3 eventually comes in number one. And when we eventually get Terrifier 4, maybe a Terrifier 5, we'll see where the chips fall.
I wonder how far they'll go with this.
It's a good time to be a Terrifier fan. It's a good time to be a slasher fan.
The perfect time for me to join in. I joined in last month.
Move over, bitch. It's Art's turn. Well, that's it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed that, click over here for all.
All right, yeah. I'll make sure to put the original video in the description below. So, yes, I would say Terrifier 3, Terrifier 2, then 1. I got to see those other ones. I forgot there was 4. I forgot about that. It's technically not part of the story, but it still is Art the Clown. I want to check it out. So, yeah. Happy holidays, ladies and gentlemen. Please be careful out there, and let me know in the comments who you dressed up as. I'll see you later.